Hey everybody, this is James. I'm coming to you from the beautiful Green Mountain state of Vermont. And today I am testifying on behalf of the amazing book written by Michigan author and scholar Peter Eric Hendrickson called Cracking the Code, The Fascinating Truth About Taxation in America. 9 months ago I began reading Cracking the Code and took its principles and all the facts contained within it and put them to practice, and I am now the first Vermonter to receive all my withholdings plus interest back to me for the tax year 2016. What this means is I have zero tax liability in the state of Vermont. The state of Vermont gives me no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm the first person, according to the work published at www.losthorizons.com by Pete Eric Hendrickson, the author of The Fascinating Truth About Taxation in America. Do your homework and uphold the rule of law. Freedom, liberty, and justice depend on the collective individuals of this great nation acting together to restrain a government acting outside of its boundaries, or people acting on behalf of the government operating outside their boundaries. So the best thing you can do to preserve this great nation and its principles that founded one of the most prosperous countries in the world is read Cracking the Code, The Fascinating Truth About Taxation in America, and do your civic responsibilities and uphold the rule of law and have returned to you private property that may have been improperly withheld. And those factors you can determine for your own situation by reading the book and all the free publications at www.losthorizons.com. Ben Franklin once said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." So the best investment you can make in the 21st century for your private property, for freedom, for justice and liberty, is to read Cracking the Code, The Fascinating Truth About Taxation in America by Peter Eric Hendrickson. Learn the history of the income tax laws and learn how those laws have been misrepresented by the Internal Revenue Code intentionally to maximize revenue for the federal government and to take private property from your pocket to finance the growth of an exponentially growing monstrosity we call the federal government. Learn how the terminology and terms such as income, employment, employee, employer, self-employed, trade or business have been terms legally defining people whose earnings come from privileged activities, and how this terminology has been used on legal documentation to mislead the general public into holding themselves liable for a tax they aren't technically required to pay. The United States Constitution puts supreme authority in each and every individual. You are the master, not the subject. Public officials are the subjects, but it's up to us to know the law in order to hold these officials responsible for the things they say and do. In order for freedom and liberty to persevere in this great nation, every individual must understand the written rule of law. Lastly, you must know that your private property is the most sacred thing you have. Every hour you work is an hour of your life that you will no longer get back. So, the value of your life is in your work, and more so, the Founding Fathers structured this country so you wouldn't have to pay the federal government a fee to work. But now they've gone and convinced all of us for the last 75 years to hold ourselves liable for a tax you wouldn't otherwise pay. More than 250 million Americans each year sign ignorantly under penalty of perjury, testifying that the facts they contain within their document known as a income tax return are true. Unknowing to most of them, those facts, they don't know the facts, so it's not true, and are technically committing perjury. But when it's in the interest of the federal government to collect your revenue and to maximize on it, profit from it, they'll turn their head the other way. They'll turn their cheeks the other way when you're willing, ignorantly and consentingly, to give them your private property because you don't know otherwise. So please learn the truth. Read the book. Study the publications. See my documented filing in the description box below. A link to the website. Have your private property returned to you, plus interest.